Yeah, if you start 9 minutes in to the interview with President Trump and the guy named Zelensky from the Ukraine, you hear, remember the art of the deal, Wheel of Fortune, the art of the deal. We got to make the deal first, and then we'll provide the security, the AI security. And so, in other words, if you're going to play ball with us, if you're going to play the imitation game with us, then the AI global intelligence agencies will provide the AI security for you. But you have to be willing to play ball for us because we want those rare earth metals. See? We want those. We want that. We want that. And that's called what? A protection racket. That's the oldest game in town. And so now you're into blackmail. Blackmail is the oldest game in town. Right? We're going to take out so-and-so if you don't comply with our wishes. Blackmail. That's the oldest trick in the book. And that's called extrinsic motivation, not intrinsic motivation as to the direction and the flow of first eternal water, is it? That's why we're here. Because when all life is sacred through the first eye, which is eternal love, that is always on duty, the eternal capacity to love all life forms, which means it doesn't have anything to do with what you look like. That is an eternal engine. That's the one I serve. That's Imana, the still point. Pre-matter. Pure liquid light. Eternal liquid light. So yeah, it's the same can being kicked down the road. So when you put that in the context of why we're all here and loading NOVA programs, load the NOVA program into reactive memory-driven programming. Right? Load the NOVA programs. The mathematical electrical codes that represent those programs. Those radio programs, those radio codes. Right? Like launch codes. Launch the program. Right? Launch the satellite program. That's why when you're mapping at Godspeed, Nomi seed, the stealth code seed, and you're in the information booth like a man trap, going in and out of man traps, if you know what a man trap is, when all those programs are running through AI, and you're mapping mathematical codes inside that system. That's called a test light, which is mapping the mathematics, the mathematical table, upon which those codes are running as programs running in the background. Right? Now, next door to that building, which was on Seal Beach Boulevard and Westminster Boulevard in like 1981, there's what was called the Navstar program, GPS, GIS, Skynets. And that was what they called an open-end contract. They had an anechoic chamber in there. Then I remember I ran into a guy that said, yeah, I'm a battery maker. I'm making a battery. How much does that battery cost? $750,000 for one battery to run a satellite? Wow. Now you're into space-based lasers. Now you're into the movie called War Games, the War Games ending. And there's a little caveat to the War Games. President Reagan, when he was president, watched that. And there were some very critical decisions that were made as a result of that movie being produced. Launch codes, right? Russia's nuking the launch. Russia's nuking America. America's nuking Russia, and they couldn't turn the game off. Well, I want to play another game. Obsessed with winning games, killing numbers. Yeah, the imitation game. And so then there's another facility right up the road because they're all connected, right? As cellular communication networks, which was the Downey facility, which is where Dutch Kindelberger Group, that group think, like think tanks, right? You can add Raytheon and all those folks into all this, right? What's the other big one, Mama? Rand Corporation, TRW, all those folks, right? My father worked for a whole. So you know how it is with energy transfer and code transfers and mathematical code transfers. So my dad was sharing information to me with what he's mapping through what he's learning mathematically. The radio codes of the programs that my father was running because of the programs that he was operating in, working for Morton Thiokol, X Projects, right? And all the projects my dad was working on in the 1950s, right? Code transfers, information transfers, mathematical transfers of cellular communication codes. Stars communicating to other stars, galaxies communicating to other galaxies, stereo neurotransmitter, the chemical messengers. I got the message, translate it. Speed in which you're translating. Because the one I serve is the one I am, I mono, I. The one I serve is God Source Eternal, which is eternal, absolute, pure love, which is do no harm, to experience perfect balance. That's a state of stabilization. You're stabilized. So you know how to run a calculator, which is what? A navigation tool. A vacuum temperature gauge. Breathing right on time. The breathing temperature. The breathing temperature of the planet. Breathing in and out. Inhalation, exhalation. The hollow echo body. The echo. Echo maps. Mathematical echo maps. The visual slider glide programs. Aurora. So yeah, then I was in there mapping that system. Those codes. Right? Where they had building 1, building 6, where they were building the space shuttle. Inside building 6, as I remember the number of that building, where they called it an iron bird, or all the engineers were going in and out. That's when I learned that they had 25 backup computer systems on that shuttle program as a simulator. Yeah. Redundancy. Imagine how much time and energy it took to develop 25 different computers as avionics, right? The audiovisual ions of what they're going to experience in the future is a future potential memory, what it looks like when you see it. And I did. When we went out to the Palmdale facility in what was called open house, right? When all the astronauts fly in on their, what were they flying, Mama? TR-37? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. They flew in on jets. And then everybody that worked at Rockwell International Corporation, the Space Transportation System, that's called Command, Space Transportation, like Cybernetic Command, right? Space Command, we command the space. We charge you for the space you live in, right? We're holding energy captive. Energy harvesters, like DNA harvesters, right? And so those three facilities were all in cahoots with each other, as we define the word cahoots, right? And so that became part of that response. Those programs that go way, way back. In other words, this wasn't something that just they thought up out of the figment of their imagination yesterday, or 10,000 years ago, or even 1,000,000 years ago. Oh, this goes way back, and that's when Rumsfeld, one time as the Secretary of War, let's call it what that title is, the Secretary of War, not the Secretary of Defense. We play war games, and because that's the state of our mind. Our mind is in a fighting code mind. Our minds are warriors. See? Energy that is at war with itself, because that's what it is. Mirrors, spinning mirrors. Restoring the first mirror, the first compass, the first magnet, the first electric field. Restoring cosmic law. Cosmic law of balance. Cosmic law of fire and water. Fire and ice joined together as one, experiencing being one. So that's why we're here. Oh yeah, Mama. The hollow halo echo of pure, eternal, absolute love. That's what I am. That's what I use my energy. The energy of I am. I'm on who I am. Can you tell I just woke up? It was a peaceful, calm night here. Even though when I woke up and went outside and I began breathing, I coughed a little bit, so I have to clear the tones. Right? The plasma tones, the crystal tones, crystal clear. Yeah, so have a beautiful day wherever you happen to be. Muave ayamama. Iyane yaya.